This is a Rolemaster classic actual play set in Terry Amthor's excellent Shadow world using Fantasy Grounds. You can find session summaries, items and characters on World Anvil, where our campaign is called The Praise of Old Men. You'll find links to that and our other forms of media for our sessions, as well as an index of this episode in the description. This episode has jump cuts to keep the runtime down. Previously, giving up the hunt for Sylke, the rogueless and mage-less companions have continued to look for the final artefact, the other portal rod, in the nearest unexplored major structure. This turned out to be an arena surrounded by the serpent-infested waters of the bay. It appeared largely empty. While investigating one of the two rooms off the arena floor, the party were attacked by chained, invisible entities that stole Cran's sacred crowbar, Betty, and used it to free themselves from their bonds. After a clumsy fight, the creatures were slain, and it's now time to continue onwards. And I'll transfer
I think
52 off Cran and then cast the regeneration, so it'll take 52 rounds to clear it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Oh, thanks, mate.
And didn't fumble, so they're gone after 52 rounds.
Okay.
Awesome. And you see Cran with an oily rag reverentially cleaning down Betty before he puts it back in. It's there.
I should hope so too. So this chamber was empty. This is obviously some sort of holding chamber, maybe for creatures that were then used in the battle, or maybe these were the possessed souls of people used, or prisoners, possessed souls of prisoners who were perhaps waiting to fight in the arena. Otherwise, though, the chamber has a bare flagstone floor, dark, cold stone walls. The ceiling is quite low. The ceiling is barely high enough for Cran to stand up in, which might explain why the fight caused perhaps more trouble than you expected. So you remember that's your arena, your sandy arena with the rotating stone floor, just to make things interesting for the spectators. And Cran and Victoria and Akel, you stand just outside the leftmost of the two doors that you can see.
Okay, gotcha. So the holding cells don't go anywhere deeper into the complex. They're just like literally a room. Well, let's go and glance through the second.
Well, they go underneath. They go, I suppose, in many ways, they go underneath the steps, underneath the bleachers, if you like.
Yeah, but there's no kind of exits from the room. It's just a.
Doesn't seem to be any exits from the room at all, no, and you've searched.
Okay, let's go and I would suggest if it's empty, we don't go into the second one, but I'll just walk along to the right-hand one and have a quick look in there.
Okay, the cell on this door, again, is you're going to have to duck to get through the iron cell in this door. There are some bars on it. So peering in, you can see little more than a stone floor. You can see there's blood on the floor, old blood stains on the floor. You think you can see some smashed furniture. Certainly there's some fragments of wood.
That's weird. And the bars it's a locked cage at the moment?
The doors, no, these are bars on a window.
Oh, it's a window, okay.
Yeah, so it's an iron door with some iron bars, which would basically help seal off what is effectively a window. No glass, of course.
All right, I'll try opening just in case it's unlocked.
Okay, this door isn't locked, so you can open it with kind of a grating sound as the door shifts reluctantly, like thus.
You got my bag, Victoria?
Yeah.
You can see that there is a door just to your left as you step in. Across to the right, there's a smashed table. There are two sets of steel shackles that are attached to the western wall to the left. These shackles in pairs are on either side of another door. There's a steel ring that's attached to this door at about waist height. So it's some sort of handle.
All right. Cran is going to... Is there any large-ish or lengths of wood or anything around in the arena? Or driftwood or anything?
In the arena, no. The floor the sandy floor actually looks almost pristine. There are no rocks. It's not been raked, but it's certainly flat, smooth, and debris-free.
Okay. Okay, so I'll go for the old table, grab a leg or something, and I'll. I'm assuming there's some invisible things around here, so I'm going to stand with my sword and go into this corner here. I'll wave it in front of me and kind of in a way to make sure I can kind of get right into the corner without hitting anything, and then I'll throw the table leg. I kind of try and yeet it along that wall there.
Okay.
And then go into the next corner. I'll do all 4 walls in the same sort of manner.
Okay. All right, Cran. So you step in. As you step in, your iron-shod boots ring and resonate on the floor. This room is slightly larger than the other ones, but the ceiling is still quite low and dark. And just glancing up, you can see that the ceiling is also stained, perhaps rust, perhaps something less wholesome. Gingerly prodding with your sword, you manage to make your way across to the table, grab a table leg, and then, as you said, you work your way across to the corner, swinging in front of you and prodding at the corner. You're now quite close to the leftmost of the 2 sets of shackles that form on either side of the door here. The shackles don't move, however, as you get close, and they rest against the wall, slack and loose. You're able to throw the piece of wood across to the other corner, and with a clang, it hits the far corner and then comes to rest on the floor. Nothing reacts, nothing seems to happen. Are you going to walk over, pick it up, and throw it against the other corner?
Yeah, I've got the 2-handed sword out. I hope it doesn't mind being used as like a cattle prod, but I'm going to walk across and just waft it, dust the corners, whatever they say. That's like house painting, I guess, but medieval times.
So you get across, and your sword hasn't met any resistance so far. Glancing behind you, you can see Victoria has stepped into the room with the double-bladed scythe that she's used to such good effect so far. You bend down and pick up the wood. And as you bend down, can you both, Victoria and Cran, can you give me perception rolls, please? Ugnan, can you give me a perception roll as well, please? Ugnan, yours is hard.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Cran, you bend down, pick the wood up, and just glance up at the ceiling. There's something a little bit disturbing about the ceiling. It's the stains and the marks on the ceiling. The fact that this ceiling is just so low. You're aware that above you, both you and Victoria, and Ugnan as well to a lesser extent, are aware that above you there is a lot of heavy masonry, and the ceiling is very, very low. Glancing across at the walls, you can also see the odd fact that the walls are quite smooth.
I say as soon as I see that, Victoria, I can get back to the door. She's scaring the willies out of me, and I'll jog back up, crunching on the ground.
Yep.
Can I just tell you about one of the comments? Sorry, John, to interrupt. One of the comments on the videos, just because you mentioned about the ceilings being too low, Stuart, says, this person said, a firmly calm speech about ceilings, quote, being just a little bit too low might be the most British thing I've ever listened to.
Okay.
The Brits were only 4'6" until about 200 years ago. So
that's right.
Sorry.
Not sure what to say about that, apart from the fact, trust me, when you come across the legendary treasure hoard that lies at the end of this, there'll be a large pot of Earl Grey tea. Okay. So Cran and Ugnan and Victoria, the ceiling is quite low. You're aware that there's a lot of heavy masonry above you, and the walls are very, very smooth. Unlike the chamber that you've just been in, where the walls were quite rough, these are smooth, almost in our terms, almost plastered. They're not glass-like, but there are no blemishes. The stone looks like it's been rubbed off by something.
By Cass's dangling testicles, what is going on here? They crushed prisoners before, if they got unruly, did they?
Wasn't there something that lived along the walls in the temple?
Yeah, there was. Remember, there was that sort of snake-like thing that moved around the walls.
I don't know if it's related.
Nothing seems to be moving in the chamber, and there's enough light spilling in that you can see dimly into the corners. And of course, the ceiling is low; it's barely 7 foot above you. So there's no way that anything could hide in this. And with Cran and also Victoria moving around and swinging their blades around the room as they've done, it seems difficult to imagine that anything could be hiding in here. But there is definitely something a little bit peculiar about the room. And
let
it
me go
doesn't
and check out
feel
the door.
right either.
Hang on.
Let me go and check
That's
out the
not one of
door.
those ceilings
See if we can get through.
might drop down and crush things if all the furniture's been crushed in here as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Let's get out and talk about a plan before I go and do anything stupid. Well, more stupid than normal.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right, so imagine you're in there and the ceiling starts coming down. What are we going to do to stop that?
You haven't got any potent magic with you, have you?
That is a fair question.
Well, I mean, I can make a pit so that if it worse comes to worse, you can jump into the pit. So it will go down and you'll be in the pit.
I'll just suffocate in like 5 minutes' time.
Yeah.
No, that's a good plan, actually. My hope is it's isolated to this room, and through the door there may be a more normal area with a ceiling that's higher. Is it possible from where we are to get a light shine? I'm not sure if you can cast light. Sylke could. Oh, she's not here. I'm not sure if we can get a light shining through into the other room to check out if that ceiling's more normal.
From where you are, no. You can't quite get an angle on the door, and even if you could get an angle on the door across to your left, but you're too far away really to see what's there unless you go into the room and up to the door.
Okay.
Does anyone have any idea what might trigger the ceiling? I can cast silent moves and try and move quietly, but we've been making quite a lot of noise, so I don't think it's noise triggered.
Yeah, I would guess a plate, but I don't know what, or an external.
Well, you've moved around a fair bit inside, so if there's a pressure plate, it's not an obvious one, and it's not been placed in the corners or by the door, unless it's one of those that's designed not to trigger on the first person, but it's designed to trigger on maybe the last person to catch everybody.
I don't know.
So the doorway itself, I mean, how is it constructed? Does it look like anything that can be pushing the bars down from like the side of the walls or from the top of the lintel?
So the door itself is a low, sort of barely 5 foot, small iron door. The iron is very thick, very hard, solid, and quite rusted. Doesn't look like that iron door is going to move or budge or collapse at all. The iron door opens into this chamber. There's nothing that you notice around the lintel or on the floor that moves. I mean, certainly if you lean in and just press the flagstones directly in front of Cran, there's no give. The floor seems solid.
Okay.
Come on, it's bloody ancient, this place is. Although that big thing outside did turn when I pulled the lever.
Yep.
We've got to find a way down. That's the only route we've got so far. My concern is if someone tries to force the door, that might trigger the ceiling, and that's maybe the only route we've got at the moment.
How much of a job does it look like to try and work this door that we can see free, the one that's right beside Cran?
You mean to take it out of the hinges?
Yeah, take the hinges off.
Tap the hinges out?
With Betty and about an hour's worth of work, given the strength that you've got with Snarkle and Cran working on it, I mean, Betty is actually, all joking aside...
And Victoria.
Sorry, and Victoria. I'm sorry, dear. I mean, yeah, you've got enough strength with the three of you to probably take the door off its hinges. And Betty, as you know, is actually more than just your ordinary Walmart crowbar. This is the mother of all crowbars.
No, absolutely. It's got enough love. It's going to turn sentient eventually.
I shall name my crowbar Wound Weaver. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, if you wanted to spend an hour, you could take that door off its hinges. What you're going to do with an iron door, unless you just want a hugely oversized shield, or more like a pavis than a shield, I'm not really sure what you're going to do with it, but you could certainly take it off its hinges.
I was thinking more along the lines of suddenly the ceiling's dropping. There's no way that door can close now because it's off its hinges. It's just a matter of them getting out quick enough, unless it's like a proper dead drop ceiling.
Yeah,
in
that's
which
what I
case
was
it could be a
thinking.
real problem. But then we maybe prop the door up in a corner, so if it is a dead drop, it hits the door first.
My suspicion is it is iron, but we'll see.
It is, and it's thick iron.
Let's why don't we prop it up in a kind of diagonal line between there and like there, just against the wall, so someone could dive underneath it. Hope it'll hold. Although if it's a dead drop, getting it as high as possible might be better. So we just prop it up at 90 degrees, so it goes right up almost to the ceiling. Then it wouldn't, or even by the door, as you're saying, yeah.
Well, no, I'm thinking like I could prep a pit. I mean, it's quite a powerful spell. 10 power points worth, which is quite a lot. But I could have it maybe sort of in that doorway, so it could go under the door as well. So if I do cast it, you can just crawl into the pit through the other side of the door.
Great idea, yeah. Okay, well, I'm prepared to give it a try. So we'll take the door off.
Okay, so you can spend half an hour with Betty and a little bit of brute force rather than low animal cunning, which is what Cherry would have supplied. And you can force the iron door off its hinges, wrenching at the masonry and the really well-crafted stonework, which has held this door in place for so long. With the iron door off, you realise it's going to take two of you to move this door around quite slowly, so it wouldn't have been any use of any sort of makeshift ad hoc shield, but certainly some sort of large 5-foot wedge. Yep, it'll do the job nicely. The iron is about 3/4 of an inch thick, so you're looking at a considerable amount of iron that you've now got. You want to wedge it in or prop it in a corner? Is that correct?
Yes. So some way. So how much gap between the top of the door and the ceiling is there right now? Is it like inches or?
You're looking at about 2 feet.
Okay.
So the door is about 5 foot. The ceiling is about 7. So you're looking at approximately 2 feet.
All right. In that case, I'd suggest we wedge it, form a triangle against the wall on the floor, but nearly vertical, enough space just for one person just to dive under if necessary, and do it right next to the door. So go in from kind of there.
Okay. Yep. So you prop that door up so that if the ceiling does happen to drop, you can dive underneath sort of like the triangle formed by the door and the wall, and hopefully then the door will stop because it's so made of iron. The door will stop the ceiling from collapsing anymore. Okay, yep. Meanwhile, Ugnan, you're preparing a spell.
Yeah, barrier pit. Is that where the door is? The blue square.
Yeah.
Blue square's the door, yeah.
So I could put the pit there, which means then you could jump in and then underneath the gate if possible, or if you want I could just put the pit literally where you two are if it drops. Up to you really.
No, that may be actually the safest way to do it. Just go into the pit under the door and back up the other side. At least I can explore the room. Does anyone have any torches? Or let me check my own inventory. I'm not sure I do because I can't see in here. Flint and steel and nothing else. Oh, hang on. Oil flask. Ooh. Looking encouraging.
You're in the wrong inventory. You're in the wrong group.
I've got everything to light a fire except no light source, unfortunately. Damn it. Okay, no. Does anyone have a torch or a lantern? I can basically light that, but I don't have one myself.
You can have Ugnan if you want it.
Perfect. All right, I'll light that before we go in. Just put it on the floor, and then I'll use it to... Actually, before we do anything, what I'll do is I'll try and hold it up next to if there's an area in the door where we can see through.
Yes, you can.
And I'll look into the room beyond.
Can we have a good look around their doorway as well, just to see if there's anything looking dodgy around there?
Yeah,
looking dodgy around where?
The actual door frame itself. So say you're pulling on the door.
Right.
Is there anything does it look like a simple iron door like the other one? Is it different?
Give me a perception roll, please, Victoria and Cran, as you look at the door handle, just to make sure the door handle looks normal. Cran, you're not sure. It seems fairly straightforward to you. You just a great big iron ring. You just twist the ring and through you go. Victoria, you have a closer look and just gingerly lift the handle slightly. It's cold to the touch, but that's probably just because it's steel and it's sheltered from the sun. It just feels cold. Both of you are convinced that this door will open inwards towards you. And it doesn't seem to be, you can't see any obvious trap.
Is the ceiling in the room beyond similar to the one in this room?
Low,
as in
yes.
smooth walls, low. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the wall is smooth, but difficult to say if it's smoother or the same. Looking through into that next room, you can see there are piles of what look like hay that are heaped around in the corner of a room which looks like it's been ransacked. There's an odd door made of some sort of yellowish substance, maybe mineral rock. It doesn't look like metal. Anyway, there's an odd yellowish door against the northern wall. But that's about it.
So I'll describe the door to Agnan. Hey Agnan, there's some sort of weird, I don't know, strange material, yellowish material door, stone maybe. Do you know anything like that? Any of your weird and wonderful substances that you know about?
As he racks his brain, and I've just given you something in the tower there, Stuart.
Not really, nothing that you've heard of. I mean, the only yellowish rock that you've come across before or yellowish mineral that you've come across before is really sulfur. If you get sort of large lumps of sulfur and sulfur stone, rumor is that you can take those and burn them to produce something rather nasty. But other than that, no.
Not really, lad. Sorry.
I mean, it could just be a discoloured piece of stone.
Well, can you get ready to cast just in case? Let's try and preserve your strength for when we really need it. Because I've got a nasty feeling we're going to meet our bastard with the weapons and the attitudes in here somewhere. But I'll try and open it. But could you prepare it, but not? I don't know how your magic works, but not cast it
and hold it, and it'll.
Yeah, and then just like if this whole thing goes to rat shit, then I'll be looking at you with petrified eyes and ready to dive into a pit.
All right.
Victoria, I want you either get under the door or out of the room temporarily until we get the door open, just in case. There's no time.
Sure.
All right, and when that's all the prep's done, I'll look at Ugnan and say, you ready?
Okay, so you've asked Victoria to wait outside, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that there's a pit trap that's going to be cast underneath the door.
Underneath the door, I'll literally jump into it but only if the ceiling starts moving or comes down quickly.
Okay. So you're going to have to position the pit trap because you're reaching for the door, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can do that.
So Ugnan isn't.
Yeah,
Ugnan's not going to be casting it unless the ceiling starts moving.
Yep.
So the plan will be it's like an emergency. Escape route.
Yeah, because it's quite a hefty amount of power.
So you're going to hope he casts faster than the ceiling collapses.
Pretty much.
Of course. So you can see you can see Cran like hit himself by the side of the head with his right fist before he does this.
So this sets up the random that lovely D&D dice roll of beat me on a dice roll or you're dead. No saving throw.
Okay. I'm also hoping the door might slow it down a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll bounce off that. It'll be fine.
It will do. Okay, so let's see then.
Just emphasise that you were definitely using the wrong tense. It would do if there was a problem with the ceiling. Okay. It's the right thing you should have said. So.
Okay. Cran, you grasp the handle of the door and give the ring a twist and pull the door towards you. And it's stiff and it resists. But then after an initial bit of resistance, which could be its age, the door actually opens very, very easily indeed, almost as if the hinges have been oiled and it's being assisted in opening. There's just, as you pull the door open, it just feels a bit peculiar the way it opens. But nothing happens to the ceiling at all. What do you want to do?
Cran will let out a big breath. Fuck, I hate this place. And then go in the other room and get crushed by the ceiling the other side.
That's right. Got you. Okay.
Cran will
Right, I'm going to move
shine
that.
the torch in.
Yep. Okay, Cran, you can see that. Cran, give me an extremely hard perception roll, please, as you wave that torch around the room just to get a glimpse, because the room is actually quite dark because there are no windows. The hay piles cast obviously a shadow. You can see what looks like a small chest over in the far corner of the room. The chest looks like almost like a traveling chest. The lid is closed. The yellowish rock, though, casts a shadow.
Hmm?
The yellowish rock door
So
casts
there's
a
a shadow
shadow.
coming kind of into the room.
Yep. Well, actually, the shadow, because of where you're standing, the shadow or shadows fall on the floor in that direction. Whoops, going away from you.
Well, this is a bit rum.
Don't have a good feeling about this.
Yeah, you and me both.
Are you sure you're alone in that room, lad?
Well, you can't see anything moving, Cran. There's nothing rustling or moving around in the piles of straw, which are only inches high, not feet high. The chest is small. It's barely 2.5 feet by 2 by 2, and nothing's moving around.
Trying to go to the hay pile next to him, and I used to love doing this when I was a kid. And he's like, he'll kick his feet up and down it and try and kick hay up in the air to see if there's anything inside it. And then, if there isn't anything, he'll go over to the other one and do the same thing.
Okay, Cran, you walk over into that nearest pile of hay and start kicking this really dry straw around, which almost immediately turns into sort of pulverized fragments and dust. And of course, you've got a nice naked flame there as well.
Concerned about more about asbestosis. Cran will put the.
I don't know if you've ever thrown custard powder onto a bonfire.
Yeah, that could be highly dangerous. So,
so there you are with the bonfire, and now you kick custard powder into the flame. No, I'm joking.
It's a Davy lamp. It's highly safe. Don't worry.
So you kick the straw around, and all you really do is just disturb the straw and kick up a few spores, which you kind of cough and splutter through. But there's nothing actually in the straw at all.
Oh, that's a bit stupid. Or maybe I won't do that in the future.
Give me a Constitution roll, Cran.
Oh.
No.
Actually, sorry. When I say Constitution roll, sorry, this should be a disease roll, please. Thank you very much.
It's a bit dusty in here now.
So you disturb the spores and bits of hay, but there's nothing moving around in this room.
I think I've got a yeast infection. I think it's the Rona. I'm going down with it.
Okay, so after coughing and spluttering, Cran, there's nothing moving around in the piles of straw. Do you want to try out the other pile just to your right?
No. I think having just coughed and spluttered a bit from the dust that came up, I'll probably give that a miss.
Okay.
I'm gonna. So what do you reckon, Victoria? That door looks bloody weird. Why is it casting a shadow across there? And is the shadow irrespective of the light that's shining on it now?
As you wave the shadow around, whenever you focus, give me now just an ordinary perception roll, please, Cran. Victoria, you can give me a perception roll as well, as Cran focuses on the weird shadows cast by the door. Yeah, Victoria, there are two distinct shadows cast by the door. Both, obviously, if you can imagine two pillars or two things stood in front of the door, they would cast shadows, going away from the torch. And that's what you can see falling on the floor. The things or whatever is casting these shadows or whatever effect is occurring is as if there was something that was about 7 foot tall. Whatever is casting the shadows, if there is anything, would be about 7 foot tall. And there's two of these shadows coming from the door. But the door seems to be plain yellow stone, featureless.
That's weird.
There doesn't seem to be any obvious handle either.
Should we get the rest of the group in?
Yeah,
Do you
I
think?
need Uglin's brain for this. I can't even see it. It's just sort of like a shadow to me. You said there's two of them there. One of it's one of those
Yeah,
invisible bastards that tried to steal my crowbar.
might be. I don't know.
Do you want to get everybody else into the room, or do you want to leave them outside?
Ugly will go in.
Some of them are beginning to come in.
What are you
Are
talking
we all
about?
coming in?
In for a penny, in for a pound, I suppose.
What's a pound?
Wait.
Oh, what's
A pound
penny?
of
Then?
flesh.
5 shillings in old money. Considerably more. Okay, Snarkle. I know Jan's having trouble with his microphone, so he sort of backed up a little bit. Snarkle will obviously stay close to his buddy Acor. As the three of you come into the room, and Cran stands alertly with his torch, nothing is happening at all. There was nothing, and Ugden inspects where the straw was that Cran disturbed. There was nothing underneath it. The floor is quite plain. There is, Cran, as you sort of go a little bit more centrally into the room, you can see again more of the telltale signs of bloodstains on the floor, more than the other two chambers that you were in. And as you now look around the room and check the corners, you can see that there are lots and lots of iron rings around the walls, which, judging from the other two chambers, probably once held shackles and manacles.
Can we see the shadows that Victoria could see?
Yes, I mean, now that you know what you're looking for, you can see these motionless shadows that are formed by the door, but the door is completely plain and featureless. As you look more closely at the door, you can see a single keyhole, but there's no obvious way of opening the door. Perhaps the key also is used to pull or push on the door, but there's no obvious iron ring. And the nature of the door itself, all the other doors have been this nondescript, thick, heavy wrought iron. This door is made of some sort of peculiar yellowish, it looks like rock rather than metal because it seems rough, not
We
smooth.
came across Cragora before, didn't we? Which is the
Yes.
magic-proof compound. That wasn't yellow, was it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Could I?
Cragora is black line, is a sort of a black veined mineral. A silver veined mineral, I think. Yes, Acor.
Can I cast Stone Law on it?
You can.
Ooh, good idea.
This is where I'm going to absolutely fumble and kill us all somehow.
It's collapsed.
2d12 demons.
You've got to lick the
That was the
lick
spell I was
stone.
looking for to trigger the collapse of the ceiling. I thought it was a useless trap, and then I remembered there was a ranger itching to use his spell. I've got a spell, damn it, and I'm going to use it even if it kills us all. So all you need to do is just D100 roll and don't fumble the spell. So because it's not an attack spell, so it's no base attack, no elemental. So just get over. There you go, plenty. Cast with aplomb, dare I say. So I think, can you remind me what your Stone Law spell will reveal, please, Acor?
The caster learns the nature and history of any one stone.
Okay. So you go closer to the door and you cast the spell, and then you back up very, very quickly. What you thought was stone is not stone, it's sentient. And as you cast the spell, you realize that that door is a living door and it's not stone, it's something else. And as you cast the spell, two shapes, or the door appears to melt, and two shapes appear and step slightly forwards away from the door. Both of these shapes are yellowish to begin with and then begin to very, very quickly change hue. Both carry long spears that glitter quite coldly, humanoid, but robed in black clothing that changes hue and shape. So the clothing was yellow to begin with and quickly darkens. Where these creatures' robes touch the floor, however, the robes meld, or rather almost like a chameleon, take on the hue of the stonework. Clearly,
Acor summoned something. He's against us.
Clearly, yes. Quick, kill Acor. That's what we must do.
He's
So
not a bowman.
clearly-
I knew he couldn't use my bow. He's a wizard.
Casting spells with his arrows. So very quickly, these creatures step away from the door, and they're obviously some sort of chameleon-like creature. But as they step away from the door, you can see that there is now still a yellowish stone behind them. But they were obviously standing in front of the door. They both produce spears. Yes,
so
Cran.
just saying, Cran has got his sword out. He's leaping straight into attack. There's no messing around here.
Snorkel, we need you, lad.
Right, let's have initiative rolls then, please. Why not? The first creature, as you begin to step forward slightly, Cran, will step towards you, actually, Victoria, and attack you. It takes its spear and it swings its spear elaborately around its head in some sort of, obviously, a move that's designed to intimidate, but then it slashes with its spear at you. That hits you. The spear, you avoid the tip of the spear, but take the shaft instead across probably your face and take 14 points of damage.
Be careful. You don't want to take a shaft across the face first thing in combat.
Goodness me.
I'll tell you.
And a bee puncture. Sorry, the tip does actually graze you. There you go. So you actually step out of the way, Victoria. Sorry, I should read the critical before I try and describe it. And actually, you take the spear across the calf. But as the spear tip strikes home, somewhat ironically, this thing is also sheathed in cold, and you're going to take a cold critical as well.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that's rubbish. You'll take nothing. No damage is done. That was rubbish. Okay. And Cran, it's now your turn.
So
Speedy
Cran
bombs
with a
armed.
roar, "You whole bastard!" And he'll run in and barrel into it with a massive swing from the sword, which I take it now has finally come alive and is beating like a broken clock or something.
Yes, it is. Okay,
Could be
so
worse.
that
As trip over my boots and headbutt it in the chest.
17 points and would be a C/critical, but this is a demon, and your weapon is demon slaying, isn't it?
It
So
is.
can I have a high open-ended roll, please?
Just die! That's a
There
little
you
bit
go.
better.
It's not bad. 72 is another 20 hit points. If this creature had a heart, it would have been killed instantly as you strike it through the chest. But these creatures don't have hearts, I'm afraid.
I'm getting scared.
Creature will then take its spear and try and impale you, Cran. That's 8 points of damage and just a D puncture.
Oof.
Just. You don't shrug those off very easily.
48. Catches you through the abdomen. So it leaves you stunned and unable to parry next round, but just one round, 6 hits. But of course, it also does a cold critical as well. 6. 1 hit point. Ha! Take that mighty 1 hit point. Victoria, it's your turn.
Come on. Let's go.
That's actually 27 points and an E/critical. And that's
Fine,
number
well.
2. This is the heat one. Give me your
Yeah.
E/ first of all, please. So 53, taking 3 hits per round. And then can you give me your heat critical, please? I think that was your first attack.
Oh, yeah.
80 doesn't do anything to it at all, I'm afraid. Okay, second attack, please. That's going to be 20 and a D/critical. So can you give me your D/, please?
Oh, that's good.
28.
Oh,
That's
nice.
another 3 hit points. These creatures don't stun, I'm afraid. But you then do your cold critical, please.
Oh,
5.
come on.
Okay. Right. Give me a perception roll, please. Can you
You're
give me
healing it.
give me an absurd perception roll, please? So your blade didn't really do much damage to it on that second critical. It was more of a glancing blow, Victoria. So give me an absurd. No.
So pretty much a straight roll.
Yeah. You just didn't really catch it well enough. Acor,
Yeah.
it's your turn.
Can I ready my bow, knock an arrow, and sort of stay just to one side of the door so Ugnan can get past if he needs to, but make sure that I've got the one that Victoria's fighting in my sights?
Yes, that's fine. Yep. So you're kind of in the doorway, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, Ugnan.
I'll go to cast Calm 1, level 2 spell on Shadow 1. Flamboyant, all that loveliness.
Yep. Right, so it'll get a resistance roll.
Yep.
As you try and calm that or try and influence that spirit, it immediately whirls and faces you and comes towards you, Ugnan.
Okay.
Be one in that, Ogden.
You can feel something inside you, and you can hear a familiar voice telling you or warning you that these creatures, and the word that Orgiana uses is they eat magic. Snarkle, it's your turn.
No magic!
So you can step into the room and attack if you wish.
You see Cran shaking his head, hand to his side, looking grim.
And I think he'd probably go for the closest one, which is number 2. And that's 11 points of damage. And an A crush critical for Snarkle. 76. Okay. Let's have initiative rolls, please, then. So, creature number 1 will continue to attack Cran, I'm afraid. Oh, it's not very nice. That's, still 8 points. That's the benefit of having lots of armor. Even with a roll that's gone over 300, I can still only do 8 points of damage on Cran. There's 8 points and a D puncture critical. There is an advantage to wearing heavy armor. 92. Right. Cran takes that spear through his kidneys. Spear goes through Cran's kidneys. He takes 9 points, but you can see he immediately gasps, drops his sword, and falls to his knees. He's going to die in 6 rounds.
Gosh!
Unless something serious is done. Number 2 moves towards you, I'm afraid, Ugnan, given that you're the caster. And let's see, it will try and attack you with his spear. And that hits you for 19 points of damage and a D/critical. However, what I want you, can you make a channeling? Is it channeling? What's your realm? Is it mentalism? No.
Channeling.
Is it mental? Channeling. Right. Can you give me a channeling resistance roll, please? Because you're going to try and resist its attempts to strip your power points, which you do.
Wow.
Nothing else happens. I only got 20. Ugnan, it's your turn. So as the spear struck you, you could feel some of your energy almost being drawn into the spear until the spear was whipped away. You're sort of covered in a light sweat, but you feel okay.
Okay, he had to put a full parry in there to try and mitigate that, which didn't seem to work very well, so he'll have to just make a 0 attack.
Yep, okay.
That's a miss, I believe.
Man.
That
Nice.
0 attack misses.
Okay, that's all you can do.
Victoria.
Would I have seen Cran get
Yes.
triple?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, in that case, I'm gonna attack number 1.
Okay. That's a miss, I'm afraid, Victoria. 24 points against number 1, and you managed to do an E/critical. So can you roll your E/, please?
Ooh.
99.
Nicely done.
Okay.
Lovely.
So you actually take the creature's head off,
Sweet.
which will kill it. So 99 take. In fact, here you go. This is one of those famous ones, I suppose. There you go.
Oh, it's one of those. It's perfect.
Makes life difficult for the
That's
poor
nice.
fool.
Love that one.
They must have had a lot of fun writing these. Okay, so you won't be able to use your second swing against another creature, I'm afraid, because you're going to have to
That
move
was my
on
second
Victoria.
swing.
Was that your? Of course it was. Yep.
Yeah, I
sorry.
missed the first one. Yeah.
Okay. Cran, so you're, I'm afraid, are in too much pain to do anything. You can move 25%, so you could crawl towards Ugnan if you wish, but Ugnan is being attacked. But you're not able to do much more than that, I'm afraid.
Come here, you hooded bastard! And then I'll, leaving a trail of blood and urine down the floor, which is not very nice for anyone. He'll end up where he is there. That's
You've
everybody.
been to those house parties the same as me. Oh, good. Okay. Oh, to be a student at
There's not many
university
house
again.
parties I've left a trail of blood and urine on the floor, but that's a hell of a night if you end up there.
Hey,
Oh,
party hard, dude. All right, Acor, your turn.
Can I loose my arrow at number 2, please?
Yes, you can. That misses, I'm afraid.
Oh, lovely.
Snarkle, it's your turn.
Stu, I was going to ask, because of the kind of trigger for my frenzy. So I guess if I'm in too much pain, I couldn't move, and frenzy may not cut through it. Cran's
I
fully
don't know.
prepared to kill himself to try and defend Ugnan. But
No, I think you can. Yeah, it just seems to me that if it seems to me that it would be sensible and be quite cool if your frenzy actually kicked in, even if you only had 6 rounds, 5 rounds, or whatever left. So no, if you want to, I mean, we could, John, if you want to, if you take any sort of critical that immediately triggers will die in X rounds. As long as you haven't got any broken bones that stop you moving, and you haven't, we could just play this as you automatically go into a frenzy.
Yeah, because I'm thinking this is massive risk to the whole party. I've just taken an injury that's going to kill me within a minute, and I'm really angry, basically. But the issue is, there's a bunch of people around me, and it may not be the black hooded thing that I attack. So that's the slight
Well,
risk for everyone.
I think it's 1 round for you to go into your frenzy. So next round, frenzy kicks in. So rather than you being stunned, etc., you'll be able to move and attack.
Okay, I appreciate that. So Snarkle would see impossibly Cran starting to get up, blood pouring down his abdomen and back, and frothing at the mouth, and like a weird crazed look in his eyes. So do with that what you want.
Yep. Snarkle, do you want to move in and attack number 2, or do you want to do something else?
Snarkle will move in to attack number 2 and then do so with his battle axe.
Okay. You can get plus 35 because you're going to attack from behind.
There we go.
So that's 10 points of damage. And that's going to be an A crush critical, please.
Yep.
26 is another 2 points of damage. So this creature is quite badly injured, but it's still standing, I'm afraid. So we'll have initiative rolls, please, from everybody. It's still going to go at you, Ugnan, I'm afraid. So you've set your parry. Afraid again, that hits you for 16 points of damage and another C/critical.
No, get this off me!
Okay, but again, what it's going to try and do is rather than cause more physical damage on you, it's trying to cause stamina damage on you. So it again is going to make you make a channeling resistance roll.
God, 11 and a 13.
This is a higher critical. Takes half your power points away, please.
Please.
Victoria, it's your turn. If you move into attack, you can. I'll give you a flank bonus of plus 25.
yeah, I think that's most important.
Creature is trying to slash at Ugnan's throat and face and head with his spear, and you can see that Ugnan looks tired and weary and is now covered in sweat and is beginning to shake slightly, almost as if his energy is being drained. Off you go. Goodness me. So the first blade rings true and hits 4.
Nice.
So that's 17
What are
points
these
damage.
things that we are fighting?
Stuck in my brain!
D/critical, please.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another 3 hit points. Was that heat or cold?
Heat.
I
Off
wonder
you go. Roll your A heat critical, please. Another 7 hit points. Okay, second attack.
Still plus 25.
Yep, that does 8 points of damage. And it does an A/critical. So can you roll me your A/critical, please? 35 is another 2 hit points of damage. So you're whittling this thing down. It's still standing. Can you give me your cold critical, please?
Yep. Oh,
37. Right, your cold criticals you really want to roll low because they're healing it.
oh, right.
Stop attacking it with one end.
Okay, Ugnan, it's your turn.
Has to be another 0 attack to get that full parry, unfortunately. Another horrible miss.
Yeah, it is. Cran. Plus 25 from behind, level 15.
So my biggest problem is Snarkle's in the way, and I don't differentiate friend from foe. So I'm going to make a hard. Actually, I'm really in pain. Extremely hard frenzy check to see if I can avoid just going straight through him to the thing.
Okay.
So anything below 0 isn't going to be good for poor Snarkle. 1 second.
Yeah, that's not very good start to our friendship.
143.
You're right. It's okay. So Cran.
Now I say I'm awfully cross. Would you mind moving out of the way?
Excuse me, old bean. Little in the way there. Moves to the corner, moves to the side, and absolutely gangbusters.
The last actions of a dying hero.
Dying man. Just fucking die!
277.
48 points.
I don't think I get a
So yeah, give me
modifier
a high
on that.
open-ended slaying, please.
71.
71 is not bad. So, So 71 is going to be a brutal strike through the foe's heart, 20 hits. Right, doesn't have a heart, so the foe isn't going to die immediately. So it's 20 hits plus your 75 is 95. The creature collapses.
Oops.
Who's fucking next? And that's all I do.
Okay. So both creatures collapse to the floor, dropping their spears. And as you recover, Cran, do you need to make a roll to come out of your frenzy?
Next round I will, yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, Acor, can you give me a perception roll, please? Just a straight perception roll. So one body is slumped over by the what is a stone door made of yellow rock. The other is slumped obviously across from you, quite close to you, a few feet. So give me a perception roll, please, Acor, on your turn. Okay. Acor, the creature that you killed first of all, you can see that the robes are now flat to the ground, and the robes are beginning to take on the hue, colour, and almost the texture of the flagstone floor, but there doesn't seem to be anything in the robes.
Can I investigate the robes slightly further to see if they take on the hues of something other than the ground?
If you want to go over and pick the robe up, yes, you can.
There is a
Yep.
frothing madman bleeding from massive abdominal wounds right next to you at the moment, just pointing it out.
Leave him. Can't do anything about him. I'm having that sword, by the way, says Acor as he wanders past.
No, it's just I wonder how many of you bastards I can take down with me before I finally keel over.
Okay, so Acor carefully steps over Cran, patting him on the shoulder, saying, "Tough luck, mate," and goes over to
It's what you would have wanted. Yeah.
Yes, right. So the robes themselves, Acor, there is no body within the robes at all. The spear, the long black shafted, horribly cold spear. I mean, even though the creature is gone, it looks like the spear is still giving off waves of cold air, and you can see frost rimes the spear tip. The robes themselves, though, as you gingerly touch them, are just cloth, are just made of some sort of cloth, but they're a very, very light cloth. Do you want to pick the robes up, try them on, or do you want to do something else?
Can I gingerly pick one up and lay it on top of the You said there was a chest in the room, sort of lay it on
That's
top of
right.
that and see if it takes on
Okay.
the guise of the chest.
Okay, you can do that, and as you watch for some time, yes, it does. It begins to take on the hue of both the stone and also the wood as well. So the lower part of the robes that are touching the stone take on the hue of the stone, and the upper part take on what look like to be planks of wood. Visible clearly because you've got this mixture of wood and stone, but there is some sort of chameleon-like camouflage ability on these robes. Okay, Snarkle, what do you want to do?
Is there any treasure in here? What's in that chest?
Do you want to go and have a look?
Yes,
I
please.
love this. The two
Oh, the
hirelings just
kidneys!
go-
Ah!
I love Snarkle.
Snarkle just shrugs and goes, "Yeah, you should lay off the drinking for a while then." And steps over the body of his companion. Your friend Acor has just placed some of those weird robes on the chest. You can sweep those off with your hands, Snarkle, if you want, and open the chest.
Are there two robes? Two robes?
Yes, because there were two figures. Both of them were wearing these strange chameleon property-like robes.
And where is the second robe?
Near Cran.
Okay, who I've just stepped over.
That's right.
He's probably getting blood on it. Someone stop him.
Yeah.
He was
And
trying to
urine.
attack me. He was trying
His
to
kidneys are
attack me.
leaking everywhere. It's connected straight to your bladder. It's not pretty down there.
So, Snarkle, do you want to sweep the robes aside that are resting on the chest and have a look inside?
Yes. So Snorkel picks up the robe, hands it to Acor, and then turns to investigate the chest.
Okay. There's no lock on the chest, but the chest is made of some sort of quite fine, dark wood. And as you open the chest, there's a strong smell of, I don't know, I suppose what almost resembles camphor, a strong sort of aromatic smell that we know is designed to preserve and drive off moths and vermin like that. Inside the chest, you can see what looks like a smallish leather pouch. The pouch is, well, I say pouch, a small sort of leather cylinder. The leather cylinder is about 1.5 feet long, maybe about 4 inches wide in diameter, is irregularly shaped and has got some sort of twine or wrapping around it. So it almost looks like a rolled up toolkit. What you can also see in the chest next to that is a large dark book. The book has got a prominent silver padlock on it, but very conveniently there's a silver key, and it certainly looks silver. There's a silver key resting on the book. There is writing on the book as well, but not writing that you can recognize.
Old man Ugnan, do you want this book? And Snorkel picks out the book and waves at Ugnan.
Yeah, he nods, but he's looking also with a concerned eye at Cran.
Okay, right. I'm just going to move on.
Thanks.
Okay, so Ugnan, what do you want to do? Cran has got 4 rounds left.
Do I need to roll first aid first to diagnose he's got that, or does it look obvious?
No, he took a. No, you can tell that he's in a bad way. He's gone pale. He's slumped to the floor, covered in sweat, and he's bleeding.
Unfortunately, he's not. He's
bleeding.
absolutely. He's frothing at the mouth, and
Oh.
he's looking like he's about to take your head off with a massive sweated.
Oh, that's right. Yes, because it still isn't his turn. Yes. So Ugnan. Yes. So Cran took what you would know is a horrendous injury, but you can see he's gone into one of his fits.
Okay.
The Earth Mother has possessed him totally.
Come and look at the book, ignore him.
Yeah.
I think Ugman's going to delay to see what Cran does, but his delaying is to think about casting Calm Spell on Cran if Cran starts going mad and come towards him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it'll be game over for you if I connect with anything. So I would move out the way.
Okay, I'm going to hit with a Calm Spell then.
That's an instant spell for you now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Off you go.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
I just want to pause. So Cran, if this fails, Cran is bound to attack you, Ugnan.
Probably, yeah.
Because you know what Cran thinks about creatures that try and affect his mind, and that's what you're kind of doing.
Even when he has like a little fake wig on and goes, calm down.
Okay, just for that. There's no way Cran will attack you. Cran's innate stoutness recognises a kindred spirit, and immediately they start talking about Kevin Keegan and where. And actually, Cran, you do have a mullet going. Cran, look at that portrait. That is a mullet.
That is full.
Fucking
That's a
fumble.
midfielder. Oh no!
Oh, come on.
Oh, dearie me!
Okay, so the spell was fumbled.
The irony of Cran kills Ugnan, the only man who can heal him in the next round.
Right. All right, give me it's a high open-ended, please.
There you go.
Fortunately, it's a non-attack.
81.
81. Okay, that's not normally that fatal. Serious strain causes caster to misfire. Caster does not lose the spell points, but he's stunned for 2 rounds.
Oh, this is going to be close.
Ah, shit.
Oh dear, stun. That's what bonus to attack?
Cran, right, you've now got, I reckon, probably death in
3
so
rounds.
it's death
4
in
rounds.
4 rounds. So what do you want to do? You've got 4 rounds with which to kill everybody.
Yeah, so I'm.
Go on, big man, you can do this.
So, what do you reckon the penalty is to try and break out? I thought it would be extremely hard given the pain I'm in, and I'm going to die soon type thing. I'm raging against the dying of the light at the moment, so minus 30 seems reasonable.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's extremely hard.
Pray to whatever. Oh no, you've got a new god now. She might help you.
I'm not praying to her.
Oh, that's probably sensible. All right.
Yeah, you will.
So, are there any other penalties that should get automatically applied here? Is it just like death in 4 rounds? There's no other. That's lucky. There's no other penalties.
There are no other penalties mentioned.
We're okay. Holy mackerel!
Thank goodness.
Oh my
You see Cran about to take your head off, and you're looking cowed in the corner, and oh shit, this is the end. And then I realise who you are, and I just drop the sword and just collapse to my knees on the floor. Fuck, Magnan, I'm done for. And that's it.
Show me trousers.
Victoria, Cran drops his sword as the battle lust leaves him and drops to his knees. Take his sword! At which point Victoria says, Ugnan, could you help me? I'm bleeding at 1 per round. Yeah, don't ignore him. So what do you want to do? Cran drops to the ground, clearly dying. Ugnan is exhausted. Your other 2 friends, companions, with nothing else to do, are just checking the robes, the spear, and the chest in the corner. What do you want to do?
I'm just going to apply pressure to the wound.
To your wound or to
Cran's wound. Yeah.
Okay.
The kidneys.
Squeeze on the kidneys and force
Squeeze
more
on them,
arterial blood out. Okay. Yeah, I mean, without first aid wouldn't do this, which is what that would kind of do. You don't have second aid, but you do your best to try and staunch the bleeding. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Acor. The robes, as they're brushed away, as Snarkle dismisses them, now rest fully on the floor and now carry on sort of camouflaging themselves to look like stone. You, like Snarkle, can see that there's a book which Snarkle now holds. He's left the key sort of loose in the chest, but there's also this peculiar sort of what looks like almost a toolkit in the chest as well.
I presume animal healing isn't going to do any good for Cran.
No,
absolutely would have an amazing effect.
In that case, I continue to ignore the in the corner.
Okay.
There's going to be a reckoning at the end of this.
I'm going to snap your bow. Okay.
Take a look at the balled up toolkit thing.
The toolkit itself, as you lift it up, has got some weight to it. There's obviously some metal tools inside, and untying the cord which kept this toolkit wrapped up, you can unroll what looks to be an odd collection of highly polished, non-tarnished metallic instruments. You can see there are a large number of wickedly shaped, hooked, and what must be quite sharp blades. You can also see some tweezers, what look like almost thieves' picks, but they look oddly elongated, and some of the picks look to be serrated. There are also some vicious-looking hooks as well.
Surgical equipment.
Looking across at both, yeah. I mean, both of you have seen tools. Some of these tools have been wielded by battle surgeons, some of the more skilled sort, but these tools are particularly fine.
Anything to like sew ureters back together?
Funnily, yes, there's one that's labelled conveniently as well. But some of the bladed instruments and some of the hooks and some of the seekers you've not seen before. This is either a very unusual and very sophisticated medical kit or something else.
Okay, I take it and make a mental note to show Ogden when he's slightly less busy.
Okay, do you want to take the tools?
Yes.
Okay. If you write down in your, if you can create something in your inventory and write fine surgical tools. Okay. Snarkle, you've collected this book, but obviously Ugnan is busy with something else as Cran collapses to the floor. Do you want to grab the key to the book as well?
Yes, he won't look at the book. I don't know why. So I'm going to get the key and take the book. I'll put it. So Snorkel puts the book into his pack with the key carefully.
All right. Yeah. If you call it in your inventory surgical book, and I'll tell you more about the book later when you've actually had a chance to look at and decipher the writing on it. The writing is Black Nuretti, and of course I'm not sure how many of you actually can speak Black Nuretti at the moment. Ugnan, it is now your turn. Cran is in a bad way. He's got 3 rounds left now, and unfortunately you are stunned, so you're not able to do much at all, I'm afraid.
No.
You collapse back, dazed, tired and exhausted. Cran, you're not able to do anything.
No, I'll look at Ugnan and I'll shake my head and say, I failed, Ugnan. And there's the tears in Cran's eyes. Tell Sarissa I love her. And then he'll slump back onto his haunches.
Oh, if I wasn't in lockdown, I might cry.
Did you see that? That was role playing.
That was okay.
I'd cry to you, man.
That's right. Victoria, it's your turn. So Ugnan and Cran look to be in a bad way. Cran is clearly dazed after trying to cast a spell. Cran's eyes are beginning to close. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna step away from Cran and slap Ugnan with my bloody hands. Come on, get a hold of yourself.
What are you doing? That's not going to hold of yourself.
Get a hold of yourself. Can't you see I'm bleeding at 1 hit per round? Do something.
Could Ugnan pop a stun relief herb, or can't do that if he's stunned himself?
No, you can actually. You can. So actually, if you want to backtrack, Ugnan, give yourself a stun relief herb.
Okay, so Serenity, AF3.
Get addicted.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Phew. Okay, then I'll transfer his kidney wound to me. I don't think that.
Okay.
I imagine that doesn't stop the timer, because I imagine it just gives the same level of decay to his own kidney.
Yeah. So Cran is fine, but you are now dying at 3 hits per round because you're going to die in 3 rounds.
Yeah. So I'll just do the transferal spell. Hopefully this doesn't fumble.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Easy.
Right, we're just going to jump onto Acor then. So, Cran, you are recovering. Ugnan, you are now at death's door. Acor, what do you want to do? Cran is struggling to his feet, pulling on his sword to pull himself up.
No. He's helping Ugnan out. He knows that Ugnan's about to die, so he's doing whatever he can to stop that.
Acor, what do you want to do?
I'd like to calmly saunter over to the corner and pick up the second robe, and as I do, just say, "Ugna, remind me to talk to you about the medical tools I just found later."
Okay.
All right, I'll get right on that.
They nonchalantly say, "You're dying." Yeah, he does this all the time. Trust me. Attention seeker, drama llama, Snarkle. What do you want to do?
So Snarkle looks around, a bit impatient, and then he sort of mutters under his breath, "Mannish people, always so much, almost so much wasting time. Can we get a move on?"
I'm dying over here.
There's a tough crowd here, Ugnan.
Victoria says, "Yeah, and I'm bleeding. Look, I've got a boo-boo
Ugnan,
on
heal
my
me, you
leg."
selfish bastard.
That's right. Okay.
I'm gonna bleed out here.
Wow. Do you know, I'm getting the sense that we all laughed and we had fun when Sylke was around, but I think she was the glue that held this party together.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
All right, let me just get rid of that pointer.
there's too much machismo now.
That's right. Okay, so Ugnan, you've now got, as we go to you, top of the order again, you've now got 2 rounds left.
Unfortunately, it's
What
a
do you
level
want to do?
10 spell, so I've got to take both those rounds, then cast that round, and if I fumble that round, I die.
Fuck me.
Okay. We'll come out of initiative then. So over the next few minutes, Ugnan's eyes begin to flutter as Cran gathers round. Victoria as well. Acor, you've come over to and you've picked up that robe. Snarkle, you've got a book and a key. Acor, what else did you want to do?
Sorry, just because I fired an arrow at one of the monsters, and I think it must have landed around here. Can I pick it up? Ugna, you might be sat on it. Can I have my arrow back, please?
His eyes are just twitching now.
Not approvingly.
I think you've turned Ugnan slightly miffed. I saw his like a slight flaring of his nostrils there, just very faint. But
What's that?
what can I do to help Ugnan? Fuck's sake, man!
And
Don't
what Ugnan
die!
said, his last dying words are, "I told you I wasn't very well." Okay.
Oh, not the salmon pate.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't the spear to the kidneys. It was the salmon pate. It's always the salmon pate that does you in the end. So, with little that you can do, and just hope and trust that Ugnan is able somehow miraculously to heal himself again with the strange, uncanny powers that he has. Ugnan, as your life begins to flow away, obviously there's a very distressed voice inside you, and she is offering to save your life without you risking fumbling that spell.
He'll say
If
one
you
word.
decide not to and you die, she will find another vessel.
Yeah, he'll just say one word. Sylke.
Fuck off.
He blames her for letting Sylke, not helping him at the time when he wanted to get Sylke.
Right. If you die, then she will find another vessel. So that's going to be Cran or Victoria. Do you want Cran and Victoria possessed by Orgiana?
Orgiana will reject Cran within minutes. Don't worry about that. His vessel's leaking. That's it.
No, obviously doesn't, but he's gonna trust in himself that he won't die.
What's the chance of you failing this roll?
I trust you, Ugnan.
A 1 in 20, so it's a 01 to 05 will be a fumble, won't it? And that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
Even though I think he gets plus 10 on top of that. I mean, basically 01 to 02 is automatic failure.
Yeah. Because what level spell is it?
10th. It's the highest level.
And you've had 2 rounds of preparation, haven't you? So you're missing a round, aren't you? You need
it's
3 rounds.
It's 2 round prep, 1 to cast.
Okay.
So it's got
So
to
you've
be...
had 2 rounds of prep, and of course you can cast it when. Yeah, so you can cast it as you die, so to speak. Okay. If you're prepared to gamble with it, because if you die, and she will possess either Victoria or Cran with their powerful weapons at her disposal. You know that Cran is stubborn, but perhaps not strong-willed. Victoria, you don't know.
Do what you think's right, Ugnan. Just save yourself.
No,
Okay,
he's
Ugnin.
gonna reject her.
Okay, give me that dice roll.
Okay, so we just do this
Right,
normal
by
basic
rejecting
spell.
her as well. But okay, yeah, by rejecting her as well. This is, I think, the third time that she's offered your help, and you've said no. Now, there's nothing to stop her just going to find another vessel.
Can we do it?
Yep.
Yeah, come on, this is tense.
Do it. Do it.
Ah,
Yeah,
66.
it's an unusual success.
Okay, so Ugnan, you are able to stabilize yourself by casting the spell that you need. And in actual fact, as I look at the combat tracker, given the amount of hits as well, essentially you are weak and tired. So just remove the power points. In fact,
Done.
quite tired. Okay, but you are fine. And yet again, you've resisted Orgiana's attempts to. Well, you've not accepted her aid. That's the third time.
I did ask for it, but she didn't give it to me the time when Sylke ran away. So,
It's not the way I remember things.
well, I think I was a bit cheeky.
And this is dialogue between. Sorry, is the dialogue between Ugnan and Orgiana just happening inside Ugnan's head, or can all the rest of us
No,
hear
it's
it?
inside. It's inside his head, and also as she has become more attuned and more interested in him, she is now visible to him at night. As soon as it gets dark, Orgiana sort of steps out of the shadows and lingers around Ugnan, talking to him and so on.
Let the record show, my
Can we
lord, that
see
the
her?
aforementioned Ugnan did, on the said date, request the help of Orgiana, and she rejected him forthwith. And he got mighty miffed.
Mighty
Yeah.
lift. Okay, so Ugnan, you are okay. The rest of you are okay. You've got this odd book and the key that Snarkle is carrying. Acor thinks that he's found some highly, well, really masterfully crafted surgical tools, he thinks. Victoria then coughs and says, still bleeding, still bleeding. But the rest of you seem okay. A first aid roll, Victoria. If you've got first aid, you could apply first aid and not carry on bleeding.
Oh, I can give you an hand. I'm pretty good at that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Cran, do you want to make a first aid roll?
I'm not sure he'd want me to, if I'm being honest. Having looked, hang on, let me get right. Hang on a sec. It's a cheese sandwich you got in here. That normally does the trick.
That's right, a cheese sandwich poultice. I might want to wash my hands first. No,
Oh,
you
look,
don't.
that sorted it right out. Look, and he seems like, I think I
Okay.
may have bandaged the wrong leg.
All right, Ugnan, do you want to come to Victoria's rescue before she gets infected?
Yeah, sure. Oh my god, what have you done?
Oh yeah, can I have that cheese back?
Here's how long
You
it takes
mad
the
beautiful
kidney
bastard, Ugnan. Thank you.
7 hours for the kidney to repair itself.
Shall I get a pot of rook on? That'll sort you out.
So you're going to need to rest and recover. Ugnan, after attending to Victoria's wounds and his own wounds, slumps in the corner and looks shattered, obviously tired. There is, however, this yellow stone door that beckons invitingly to the north with its single keyhole.
Oh, there's a chest over there. I wonder what's in that.
Oh, for
Do
fuck's
you need-
sake.
Is that another fumble? It is,
Fucking
isn't
is,
it?
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's just transferring. So the first one, who would I say it was? To Victor Can. So the first one, he's now taken on another 30 points of damage to himself. He's on 65 now.
Okay, let me just share the combat track with you, Kane. So
Yeah,
you can do all
Victoria's
that.
on 0.
There you
So
go.
I've just added that on. And then he fumbles.
And then, okay, so
Oh, that's right.
He
it's
wouldn't
okay.
be wanting
That's
that.
an O2.
momentary lapse in concentration delays casting the spell by 1 round. So, yeah.
Okay, there's the other transferal. And then this will have to be the regeneration, I suppose. Which will put him out of the proceedings for the next while.
Okay.
We'll have a rest now.
There you go.
That's good.
54. Okay. So, Ugnan,
Do you want to look at my book now, Ugnan?
I do like to read.
Yeah, have a look at this and tell me what it says.
Okay. So the book, Ugnan, is written in black Nuretti, and as you take the book, there's something about it which just makes your skin recoil. The covering on the book is just not right.
It's porn, isn't it?
Give me a perception roll, just a straight perception roll.
Sorry.
You're an experienced healer. Yeah, the book is made of flesh, so tanned human flesh.
Nuretti torture porn. Ugh.
How much can you get for this book, do you think?
It's made out of,
Tell it.
well,
The book
man
itself,
flesh.
written on the spine in sort of in gold lettering, is the title of the book, and it's called The Law of Flesh. The book is padlocked using the silver padlock that Snarkle has. It's a torturer's guidebook, Ugnan.
Right, okay. Lovely. He'll
Now-
impart this.
As strange as it is, actually, a good torturer keeps his victim alive in addition to inflicting pain. So there's elements of this that if you chose to study it, could probably help your healing. But there's going to be a downside as well in terms of some sort of corruption. The tools go with this as well. Yes, they are surgical tools, but they're the tools of a master torturer.
Okay, he's got some kick-ass tools anyway.
But you don't have torturing tools. They round out your set nicely there.
These will give you plus. So the tools that I think Acor is holding or carrying for you will give you plus 25 to any first or second aid roll.
Yeah, he's got a pair of those as well already.
Okay.
Anybody else want these? I've got a set.
I think we should ban this book and break these tools so they can't be used again.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Let's have a nice little fire. Oh, I might be hungry if it's flesh.
Ugnan, do you want the book burnt? It would help your healing skills.
Oh, there's good and bad stuff in here. I'll have a little look through it.
Yeah, avoid the chapters on the torture porn and just look at the other ones.
Torture porn. Okay. Something about making movies called Sniff or Snuff or something. I don't really understand. It takes us back a few years, doesn't it? Okay, so
Sniff movies.
Yeah, Sniff movies. So you take the book, Ugnan, if you want to make a note of that, it's Law of Flesh. It's a master torturer's handbook and guidebook, complete with illustrations. There's this door, Snarkle. Now the keyhole is larger than the key that was used to open the book, but there's no obvious key that you could see lying around the floor or by the door. As you approach the door, you can see that it's just this plain yellowish stone.
Do you want me to
Can I try to open it?
You can, but there's no obvious handle. Give me a perception roll. Now that you're close to the door, give me a perception roll, please. The door itself fits the stone neatly, but you can tell that the floor on the other side of the door begins to slope away. There's something about the air that's rushing underneath the door, and you can hear the telltale sound of rushing water on the other side of the door. And unfortunately, there's no handle to pull, twist, or push on. It's not obvious how to open the door at all.
Well, we can tell it's a door. Does the door open inward into the chamber where we're in, or outward towards away from the chamber we're in?
It opens away from you.
And when you say there's a slope, or there's a is it going upwards or downwards, or just
Downwards?
So Snarkle's going to give the door a shove and see if he can push it open.
Okay, you put your shoulder to it and push as hard as you can, but no, nothing happens. The door is not going to budge easily, I'm afraid.
Hey, big man, Cran, come here and help me push the door.
Oh, fuck, hang on a minute. Oh, no, you see Cran lever himself up, and there's a bit of a twinge across his face. And you can see his trousers are a bit damp, sticking to his leg, and he smells pretty bad. And there's blood leaking out of the bottom of his armor. And he said, can we give it a few hours and let this fella just get back on his feet? Look at him, he's nearly fucked.
Which one?
And,
The old man? Are you talking about the old man?
Yeah, old man saved our lives. I was fucking deader than corduroy back then, and look at me now. And that was all down to him.
Yeah, okay, but you people take a very long time. And so Snarkle walks off to the corner and sits down and.
I'd like to see you walk off a couple of kidneys missing.
Yeah. Okay. You've not drunk
I'd like to see
ale that he's drunk.
You drinking all that grog that you've been drinking all these times.
Okay, Snarkle, you actually, as luck would have it, you go to sit down in the corner. Can you give me a routine perception roll, please?
No way.
Okay.
So you sit down in that that old pile of straw, and you can feel something sticking, uncomfortably underneath your leg. Moving around the straw, you find a key.
Yeah, excellent. What is this?
He says,
Look,
tossing it away.
I have the key.
I love the accent, by the way. It's growing on me.
Okay. Shall we go through the door now, everybody? Shall we start moving? Chop, chop.
Hang on a minute. Well, first off, we need to let Ugnan get a bit better, and that gives us perfect time to get a brew on, and I'll pick up the cheese from the floor.
Of course, a cup of tea.
And then we can let's have a bit of a breather, and then give it a couple of hours, because I'm not feeling like facing one of those other fucks that came out the wall just now. And,
okay, so where do you? So you're going to need to rest and recover for a number of hours. Where do you want to do that? Do you want to do that in this chamber, or do you want to move to another chamber, or do you want to go somewhere else?
I suggest the other chamber, the one that we've killed everything in, with the dead invisible things in.
Okay, so you want to go into this chamber here.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, all of you, Snarkle and Acor, you're actually hungry. But Victoria, Ugnan, and Cran, you're not. Remember, the effect of prolonged, being in this city for that long has kind of thrown your biological clocks for a loop. And you're really not hungry at all. You don't really feel that tired. But Acor and Snarkle, apart from the battle fatigue, Acor and Snarkle, though, you are hungry, so you can sit down and eat. Victoria, Ugnan, and Cran, you'd have to force yourself to eat if that's what you want to do. But you don't actually feel hungry. Do you want to eat?
No.
No.
Cran, do you want to eat? You don't feel hungry, but you know you should eat.
Yeah,
your companions just...
Cran's never let hunger get in the way of 5 solid meals a day, so he's going to eat regardless.
Okay.
And that's where we'll leave this episode. Whew, close one for Ugnan there. Next episode, let's walk through that yellow door, see where that leads to. Thanks very much for watching, listening, subscribing, following, all that lovely stuff. Catch you next one. Happy gaming. Cheers.